The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever FAB, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Welcome to Forever FAB, the podcast dedicated to fashion, the art of living well, and all things beauty. I'm Dr. Shirley, your purveyor of this definitive source of living a beautiful life. And welcome to the art of the pivot, infinite possibilities through transformation, with today's fabulous, fierce, amazing, in leopard print guest, Midwin Charles. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for doing this with me, for me. I'm so excited. When I first met you, was it a couple of years ago?
It was.
It was a couple of years ago. I remember admiring you and having, just being in awe of what you were doing and your command of the audience. And I thought, wow. She's awesome. So fast forward, podcast, and you were definitely one of the first guests I wanted to speak with. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
You are a lawyer by trade.
I am.
You founded, created, built your own law firm.
I have.
Your namesake, Midwin Charles and Associates, Esquire.
Yes, ma'am.
You've also done quite a bit of media.
I have.
Multiple channels,
Yeah.
Television, now podcast, radio, magazines, Essence, Huffington Post, CNN, HLN, MSNBC, Bloomberg TV. The list goes on and on and on. So kudos and congratulations.
Thank you.
I see why they have you on.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
also active in community affairs.
Yeah.
So why is that important to you?
That's really important to me because I didn't get to where I am now without a community, and that community comprised of family, friends, and mentors. So it's really, really important for me to give back with my time, and also to just be visible because I want young girls and boys of color to see me and to see that it's possible, that what I am doing is not impossible. Right. So it's really, really important for me to do that.
That's really inspirational and aspirational.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that and being a community leader. Speaking of leading and spearheading, you're also a member of the board of Women in Entertainment Empowerment Network,
That's right.
WEEN, right?
That's right. Yep.
What is that organization about?
Well, WEEN is an organization that four women that I know started about maybe 10, 11 years ago. And the four women got together and decided that there was no sort of guidance or set path for women to follow who worked in entertainment. Entertainment is very much heavily, and still is in many ways, dominated by men. And so these four women got together and said, we're going to form an organization that focuses on not just the upliftment of young girls of color who want to work in entertainment, but also training them.
Oh, wow.
So I've been on the board since inception, and one of the things that we are most proud about is every year we do a free, that's right.
That's
free,
right. What was that? Can you say that again?
It's a free program called the WEEN Academy,
I love
where
that.
we audition girls who come from all over the country. And it started out as 6 weeks, but now it's 4 weeks. And it's an intensive 4-week class instruction-based program where these girls will go to, and we rely on our networks, and these girls will go to BET, CNN,
Wow.
MSNBC, and they basically will be instructed on how to do or or how does the entertainment field work behind the scenes. And we also bring in professors who are working in a variety of different areas in entertainment. So not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera, right?
That's fantastic.
So sound, mixing,
Lighting.
editing, production, and all those kinds of things. And I've been a professor a few times as well, just talking to them about my experience as a legal analyst and appearing on TV. And things like that. So we're really proud of the program. The girls graduate and many of them go on to intern or to work in various different fields. And right now we have Gia Peppers is one of our graduates who's
That's
doing
amazing.
incredibly well.
Yes.
She hosts a lot of red carpet stuff for BET and a
Amazing.
variety of other entities. And we have girls just all over who are really working in the entertainment field.
That is amazing. I didn't
Yeah,
know
I'm
about
really
Women
proud
Academy.
about that program.
As you
Yeah,
should
in
be.
fact, the auditions are coming up pretty soon. If you guys just go to weenonline.org, you can see the auditions are coming up in March.
Yes.
And the academy always takes place in the summer in New York City, and it's totally free.
So weenonline.org.
.org. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Maybe I'll apply. You are also a member of the Civil Rights Committee for the Association of the Bar of the City of New York.
Oh, I used to be.
Used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be, and that's okay. We're going to talk about pivoting and transformation. And then the way I'd like to segue into pivoting and transformation is that you created, is it a forum called Infinite Possibilities of the Law Degree?
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
You know, that's a lot of fun. That's something that I did. In order to talk about that, I have to kind of talk about my background.
Please do.
So essentially, I went to law school, and my number one goal was to go work at a law firm, make big money, get the corner office, and become partner. Like, that was the dream. I did everything to sort of achieve that dream.
Yes.
You know, I wrote on law review. I clerked for a federal judge when I
Yes.
came out of law school in Detroit. Then I got a fellowship at Harvard and worked for Charles Ogletree.
Wow.
And then I got the dream job at a big firm. And after about 2 weeks, no, more like a year and a half, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This is just not what I thought it was going to be.
Interesting.
It was a great training ground. I met some amazing people. I got good mentors out of it, but it wasn't, but the hours were so long.
Yeah.
And the money was good.
Yes.
Let the record reflect the money was good.
Let the record reflect.
The money was really good, but it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm working 15, 16-hour days. Minimum. Sometimes 7 days a week straight.
Wow.
And I'm working on something that doesn't interest me as much. Like it does. Like if you're going to be working 16, 17 hours a day, let it be something that you really love.
That you're passionate about.
That you're passionate about. And so to me, I was like, okay, what's the end game here? Because we can't be doing this forever. We really can't. And then I kind of fell into a little bit of a depression, right? Because, I worked so hard to get there.
Right.
And to get there and be like, this is not the Shangri-La. This is not the, je ne sais quoi, pièce de
The
résistance.
be-all, end-all.
I was like, oh my God, I messed up. Like, I messed up. Like, I put all my eggs in this one basket, and the basket sucks.
Right. And not to mention potentially deferring eggs and all that, right?
Exactly.
I get it.
Exactly. And so I was fortunate enough to have a partner send me an email where a producer from Court TV was going to be speaking to a group of Black women attorneys.
Okay.
And she was like, I think you should go to this. Like, your name is written all over this. So I went to the event, and she came. She was a producer. She came, and she basically was trying to get more Black women to come onto Court TV and talk about legal cases.
Yes.
So within 2 weeks, I was on TV, and I was like, oh my God.
OMG, I found it!
I loved it.
Everything.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Loved it.
loved it.
Loved 2 snaps. Loved it.
Hashtag
loved it.
TV.
And so from that moment on, Project Escape.
Yeah.
Project Get the Hell Out the Law Firm.
Okay.
Was born.
Okay.
And so I had to sort of figure out what I wanted to do in transition. And I did this at a time, this was 12 years ago.
Wow.
Where I think corporate work, leaving corporate work, and what they now call the gig economy didn't exist. And I got a lot of pushback. I got a lot
sure.
of pushback from colleagues, from family. You know, you're
Yes,
Haitian. My mother
yes,
was like, you want
yes.
to do what?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
You want to do what? You know, while she's holding on to her Louis Vuitton bag. That I got her.
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
She loved that life too. You know what I mean? She loved that life.
Right.
And so everybody thought I was crazy. Everybody thought, they were like, "What are you doing?
Right.
This, you know, how could you leave the firm with nothing lined
Right.
up?"
So now the doubt enters.
The
Not
doubt
only your
enters.
own.
Yep, the doubt enters, and you know, my mother's like, "Well, how are you gonna pay the bills?" And I was like, "Well, I have a lot of money saved up, and
Yes.
you know, this, that, and the
Right.
third." And so I quit. I quit.
Wow.
I had a whole master plan. I remember I typed up the plan. I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna start my own law firm. I'm gonna model. I'm gonna have a real estate program." Like I just had all
Yes.
these ideas.
Yes.
And
But you had a plan.
I had a plan.
And you executed.
Well, I thought I had a plan. I wrote things down.
Okay.
But
And you visualized them.
I visualized, but I wouldn't say that I had the best plan.
Okay. Okay.
Which is how Infinite Possibilities of the Law Degree began.
Got it.
Because I know when I was trying to do it, there were a lot of people who were like, "Well, that's not what you're supposed to do with a law degree. When you have a law degree, you're supposed to either go to a firm, go
Right.
in-house, go
Right.
work for the U.S. Attorney's Office and be a prosecutor, or be a
Right.
defense attorney." Like,
Right.
I just felt that people have very, very narrow ideas about what you're supposed to do with your life.
Yes.
Even though those people aren't living your life.
Indeed.
So those people aren't there when you're up late at night, just really disappointed in the fact that you feel that you're missing out on life because you're working around the clock and,
Right.
you know, things like that. So I decided to put together this program, and I've done 3 of them where I've invited attorneys who many will say are, you know, recovering attorneys, right? You know, I have recovering alcoholics who are recovering attorney. So they're all attorneys who have sort of moved on and done amazing things.
Yes.
But I also included attorneys who were still practicing. So I remember one year I had Terrence Winter, who was the lead writer on The Sopranos and of
Wow.
HBO Sopranos,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and creator of Boardwalk Empire.
That's
And
impressive.
he's an attorney. He was
Yeah.
an attorney working at a big law firm, and he decided, I want to be a Hollywood writer. I want to be a writer. And he quit. He had a beautiful story. I mean, he quit. He moved to LA with nothing. He was like living in a big house with like 10 roommates. I mean, to go from making 6 figures as a
Yes.
lawyer
Yes.
and then to kind of do that just
Right.
to kind of try the dream.
Yeah.
You know, people would think you were crazy. So I had him on the panel. I had Lauren Lake, who's a good friend of mine, who's one of the founders of Women in Entertainment Empowerment Network,
Wonderful.
who now has her own TV show, Paternity Court. I've had Lisa Bloom, who is a pretty big attorney now,
Yeah.
representing a lot of women in sexual assault
Sexual assault,
cases.
that's right, yes.
I've had Olga Jobe, who is a real estate developer. I've had just people who were doing different things. I've had another, a lot of these people are just my friends, really.
As this podcast.
You know, right. But I had
It's a beautiful network.
Medina Senghor, who is a Harvard-trained attorney and decided after working at law firms, you know what, I really want to do what I wanted to do initially had my parents not pushed me to being a lawyer. I want to be an actress. And she just decided, I'm going to go to Juilliard. She applied. She got into Juilliard.
Right.
She's an amazing actress. You can see her now on the show called Happy on the Sci-Fi Network. Got her first acting gig
Wonderful.
straight out of,
Well,
so people,
kudos
so
to
just
her.
an attorney.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, there are all these amazing stories that I think ought to be told. And so that's how I started doing that.
I love it. Well, when I
Yeah.
read about, infinite possibilities for a law degree, I thought this is everything.
Yeah.
And what an amazing and relevant topic it is. And what I wanted to ask you was, so pivoting, right? Changing, shifting, staying in place, changing your perspective, doing something on that involves a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to be able to make that change and to be able to meet the resistance. Do you think that all the options, the choices, or the restriction of options is a uniquely, I shouldn't say uniquely female, but is it something that women tend to have a bigger problem dealing with?
Yes, because I think we still live in a patriarchal society, and this society still has ideas about what women should be doing and at what part of their life they should be doing it, right? And so a lot of people will say, well, at this age, you ought to be doing this. You should be doing that. So I would say that was the sort of biggest obstacle that I faced. But I also realized that a lot of people, one of the reasons why it's so important to avoid that or the naysayers is because many people aren't really saying no to you. They are reconfirming their own insecurities.
Their own no's.
Their own no's. There are a lot of people who would love to do what you do, but they lack the courage. So what they do is they project. So when you come to, which is why I realized early on, like, don't tell people a lot of your dreams. You know, keep it to yourself, because you could be telling someone a dream on a day where you have a low point, and they can say something negative and it can take you even lower.
Right, it'll throw you off.
It'll throw you off, or it can convince you to not keep pushing.
Right.
So it's really important sometimes that you be very careful who you tell your dreams to, because there are a lot of dream killers out there, a lot of dream killers and a lot of dream crushers.
Right,
so it's really important to sort of keep it to yourself. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about dream catching, because
Yes.
you're catching it, sister.
Am I?
So you are a lawyer by trade. You've done all these amazing things to inspire young ladies and young boys, young men as well. And you obviously have a lot of experience in the entertainment field. So what would you be doing now were it not for the law degree or the law practice?
You know, that's interesting. Honestly, a lot of times, don't laugh at me,
I'm
but
not.
I think if I were not an attorney, I would probably be an astronomist.
Astronomy.
I
I thought you were
swear.
going to say something in entertainment.
I
You know
swear.
what? You were meant to be among the stars.
I love it. I love it. I would probably be I love space.
Okay.
I really do. Like in a really kooky,
So rocket scientist.
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I don't know if the brain has the capacity for that. You know, but I always say I would probably be an astronomist. I might be a psychologist.
Oh, that super tentorial, brainy, higher level, ethereal,
Yeah. Well, I love
upper space stuff.
Well, psychology because I love, or sociologist because I really love understanding people. As an attorney, you have to understand people. You really do. You have to figure out what motivates someone. You have to figure out if someone is lying. You have to figure out what is the end game. What does this person want? What would make this person happy? And you have to figure that out not just for the other side as a lawyer, because I still practice, but also your client.
Right.
Is your client telling you the truth? Because a lot of times it's not so, because some of these clients, they're not always telling the truth. And so there's a lot on the line. You know, you have to be very careful. So you have to figure out who's lying, who's telling the truth, what's the end game, what's motivating the person when you're talking settlement, what does the other side want, what do we want, what can we all walk away with where everybody will be happy. So I love kind of figuring out what makes people tick.
Yes.
So that's why sometimes I say psychology or sociology or astronomy or something like that.
I think there's a lot in common in terms of psychology and trying to figure out what is it that people truly want. Is there a language that we're talking about that's on one level, but beneath that language and beneath those words, there's something deeper that maybe I'm just not catching. And I think in plastic surgery, a lot of that goes on. So we have that in common.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about women and empowerment, which you obviously are a huge advocate for and spearhead a lot of programs and initiatives for that. What did you think of the Grammys last night?
You know, I saw pieces of it. Honestly, I think I always have mixed feelings about the Grammys, because I understand why, if you're a musical artist, it's important for you, right?
Yes.
It's like this sort of higher echelon brass ring that you're always fighting for, because then it means that mainstream music has accepted you.
Yes.
But I always tell people, you know, but you have to remind people who don't win that there are incredible artists, exceptional artists that have never won a Grammy.
Right.
Prince.
Never won a Grammy?
Never won a Grammy.
That I did not know.
Yeah. So when people are like, oh my goodness, such and such never has been nominated a certain number of times and they never won, and then when you look at people who do win, you know, you're like, well, she can't sing. She couldn't sing on a good day. Like she couldn't sing in the studio with the auto-tune on. Like she's still, and the sound is still like
The
that.
sound is still like that.
Come
so,
on now.
yeah,
I'm not gonna
I
name
know.
no names.
No
I'm not gonna name no names.
names
But I'm
necessary.
like, you have the power of all these machines, and you still sound like
technology,
that. And you
yeah.
still sound like that. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's something.
Okay,
Something
like-
to ponder.
Yeah, like-
things that make you go,
Yeah, like Chloe and Halle, those two young, amazing women.
voices.
Come on. They should have just walked in there and they said, here you go. Here's the
Yeah.
Grammy. Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you for making our world a better place through sound and music.
Yeah, I was glad to see Cardi B win. I think she had a very good album. I'm not going to lie. I'm just in the car like.
I know, right? She makes you move.
She does.
So
She does.
let's talk about Miss Cardi B. So that's a wonderful segue into who else besides Cardi B. Well, first of all, let's talk about Cardi B's pivot
Yeah.
from, shall we say, exotic dancer.
Exotic.
From exotic dancer, which in and of itself, can be a form of women's empowerment, maybe.
sure.
So
Absolutely.
from exotic dancer to rap star, album of the year, first woman to win rap album of the year.
As a solo.
As a solo, mother,
Wife.
Are they still together?
Yeah. they're
Oh,
back together
hey,
again.
they got back together.
Yeah.
Okay, things can be worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, wife, let's add that to her list of accomplishments. So that was a major pivot.
Yeah, major pivot for her, and what I like about, and I think one of the reasons why she's so endearing is people love a come up story.
Yeah.
We really
That was a
do.
big come up.
In America, we love a come up story.
Yeah.
We really do. That really is the American dream. That's
Yeah.
the American promise.
I'd say so.
And to see it happen in such a short
Very
period
short period of time.
which is rare, right?
Yeah.
Which is rare. But it sort of inspires in people that if she can do it, so can I, which
Right.
is awesome.
Which is awesome. Provides hope, gives hope.
It provides a ton of hope. It really does. And it's nice to see that she's doing what she wants to do on her terms.
On her terms.
And she's enjoying it. She's having a good time. I'm happy for her.
Yeah,
I really am.
I did say that last night
I'm
when I
happy for
saw
her.
that. I'm happy for her too. So what would she say? Okay.
I get a little concerned with the vernacular and just a little.
Just a little bit.
I just worry with young kids
Right.
because those of us of a certain age
Right.
understand the difference between
Colloquialisms,
colloquialisms and
sounds.
speaking the King's English.
Right, right.
We can code switch.
Yes.
And I'm just concerned sometimes with the younger generation. They don't know how.
Right.
And so I'm just concerned that they might not be able to flourish in
Correct.
certain spaces.
And
That's all.
communicate with
Yeah,
various
and flourish.
people and flourish. Yeah, I
because
do.
you're not all gonna be Cardi B.
Yes, very true.
You're just not.
So true. That's like not everybody will get
Nope.
into the professional league.
Yeah.
Okay, so some other pivotal pivots. Who else? Shall we say Meghan Markle? Yeah. That was a pivot.
Yeah,
That was very
I guess you could say that.
I think so.
I guess you
I know
could
she
say that.
manifested it. Doesn't the media say that she was dreaming of being a princess ever since she was a
Really?
little girl? I don't know. Did she put on? I don't know. Who didn't dream of being a princess?
I'm about to say
I think we all did.
Everybody who saw Elsa and Snow White, Cinderella,
Right.
I mean,
So-
we're raised that way as girls. We're
I think so.
socialized that way.
Yeah, we are
Right?
socialized
Let it
that
go,
way.
right?
Let
Let
it.
it
I
go.
think we do need to let it go. So I won't get on my feminist rant about how I think it's unfortunate that we're raised
It's
to want to be
terrible.
princesses.
It's
There's
terrible.
nothing wrong with it, but we should
It's
also be
pretty bad,
raised to, hold our own on our own terms
Yeah,
on many
yeah.
levels, holistically, mentally, physically, psychologically, financially, et cetera, et cetera. But that's another
That's
podcast.
another podcast.
It's another situation. So. I know you said that you would be an astronomer
I think
potentially or a
so.
psychologist.
I haven't looked into how much education is required.
I think you got it.
But
I think you got it.
I think about that sometimes.
So far, what would you say is the biggest, most impactful thing you've learned? Let's start with from someone else.
From someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, I would say one of the most impactful things I've learned as a professional is from Professor Charles Ogletree over at Harvard. I remember working for him, and he was so sought after
Yep.
by other professors at Harvard, by celebrities, politicians, elected officials, just everybody was always calling him, trying to get through to him. He had
wisdom.
He had two. I remember he had 2 assistants, and then he had me as a fellow doing some projects for him.
Yes.
And I was like, and it was fascinating to me that as a black man,
Yes.
that this man was fielding calls from Supreme Court justices and this person and that person, real, dignitaries. And I remember asking him, like, how you got all these people sweating you? Like, how do you do that?
How do you do that?
As a black man who, is an intellectual.
Yes.
You're not an athlete, which is an area where we see a lot of accolade being sort of thrown on black men, athletes, entertainers. But you're an intellectual, which is a little different.
Yes.
I said, how do you do it? And one thing he told me that I will never forget is he said, you have to know more than they do.
Interesting.
So in other words, he was just incredibly well read.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes he would meet me in the mornings for meetings. First of all, till this day, he's the only person I've known who will have meetings at like 7:16. He'll be like, meet me at 7:23. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Why?
And mind you, I was half his age and I could barely keep up.
Wow.
So I would be showing up at the Starbucks to meet him to go
Yes.
over stuff at 7:23, and he would have like 7 newspapers because this was way back when.
Wow.
This was 20 years ago, actually.
Before the digital age.
Yeah, this was 2000.
Yeah.
And I remember he would have 7 or 6 different newspapers from all over the world. So he would have the London Times.
Oh my gosh.
He would have the San Francisco Chronicle, New York Times.
Yeah.
Like it was sort of like major papers regional in the United States, but also what was happening in Europe, what was happening in Africa.
Right.
And by the time I had met him by 7:23 in the morning, he had read them all.
Including New York Post, page 6.
All of them, right? All of them.
Wow.
All of them. And his whole thing was, you just have to be knowledgeable, and people will respect you if you're knowledgeable. So I'd say that was the biggest thing that I got.
That's huge. I would agree with that. First of all, I'm just a nerd and I love information and knowledge, and I just soak it up, and it really brings me great pleasure. You find things interesting. So, and that's part of my joie de vivre, right? My raison d'être, just to be able to get to know more about the world and people. Okay, so what would you say you're most proud of yourself for? You're most accomplished?
I'd say I'd say becoming an attorney.
Yeah.
It was a long road.
And it has served you well. It continues to serve you well.
It has. But just getting here was hard. It was hard. I didn't know a single lawyer. I had no mentors. I figured it out on my own. I had to take the LSAT twice because the first time I took it, I didn't do well. I took a year off between college and law school to get ready, to take the test. And it was just an uphill battle.
Yes.
Every class, every exam, it was hard.
Yes.
It was really hard. It was not easy.
No, and I don't think a lot of professional paths are easy. So the
was
fact
not
that
easy.
you not only made it, not only survived, but you thrived, and you've done so well with it, you really ought to be
thanks.
congratulated. So if your law professors never told you that you did a phenomenal job and that you are a star, then allow me to tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I asked you what one of the most impactful things that you learned from someone else. So what is something significant that you've learned about yourself?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. The number one significant thing that I learned the hard way, especially after I left the firm,
Yes.
is that I'm not wealthy.
Okay.
No, real talk.
Okay,
I am not. Let me tell you, when you work, when you have a particular come from a particular socioeconomic background.
Yes.
And then you get your little degree on, and then you get your little first job, and you start making some coin.
Yes.
Nice coin.
Yeah.
Right?
Some
nice
paper.
coin.
Yeah.
Nice coin.
Yes.
You can really be convinced that you're now rich.
That you've made it.
You've made it. You
Yeah.
really can convince yourself that you are rich. And when I left the firm and I started trying to figure things out on my own, and I was like, I'm trying to get a TV deal and this, that, and a third,
Yes.
and the TV deal was taking quite some time to come around.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh wow, I really do have to practice law and get this law firm thing going. I just was spending money. Like, I'm still rich.
Balling.
I'm still balling. You know what I mean? I'm still
Flossing.
still taking trips.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the bank accounts are going lower and lower
Right.
and lower.
Diminishing.
And one of the biggest lessons in that was that not only was I not really wealthy, like I have to keep working. I know
Yes.
it sounds ridiculous, but it's so true. I just didn't really see it. And because when you're working at a big law firm like that,
Yes.
it's a whole life, right?
Yes.
You're
It consumes you, yeah.
You're just introduced to a whole new life where
I
you're
see.
going out to dinner with your colleagues where the bill is $1,000, $2,000, and you're having foie gras and truffles,
Right.
and you get home, you get sent home in a Lincoln Town Car every
Right,
night.
right.
Your meals are paid for, so you can really be convinced.
Or caught up in that.
Right, even though I was going home to East Flatbush every night.
Big up to East Flatbush.
Right. But I still was like, I'm rich, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm rich. And I thought I was really good with money. I thought I was
Yeah.
a good budgeter. But then I learned the hard way that I'm not really good with budgeting if I don't get a check every 2 weeks.
I see. Very interesting. Yes.
So the budget,
Yeah.
you budget well because you get
Yeah.
paid every 2 weeks. But if you don't, it's a
That's
different
right.
story.
That's right.
It's a different story. So I would say those are one of the two biggest things that I learned, especially with the sort of transitioning.
Yep.
And I tell people when I mentor a lot of younger people, I tell them, like, don't play games.
Right.
Like, you have to really be on top of
Absolutely.
things. And I'm still learning it. I'm still trying to figure it out and what have you. It's definitely a consistent learning thing.
Yeah, I think so too. And
Yeah.
I think that I also had a similar experience and especially I definitely know now with my own practice and being responsible for other people's livelihoods and essentially
exactly.
being responsible for everything. It takes a lot. Seriously, the word budget cannot be under or over emphasized.
Not at all.
So I get it.
Not at all.
Okay, so that begs the question then about wealth and acquisition of wealth, maintaining wealth. How would you describe wealth?
I describe wealth. Do you mean tangible, intrinsically?
However you define it.
Well, I say tangible wealth to me. A wealthy person, in terms of just money, is someone who does not have to work. And in my entire life, I've met some really rich people, but I've only met one or two wealthy people.
I
And by
understand.
wealthy, I mean they don't have to work. They
Understood.
are trust fund children. They have a trustee who they ask for money, and the trustee writes a check. That
Wow.
to me is wealth, right?
Okay.
You don't
Yeah.
have to work. There's a $7-8 million.
You don't have to know where it's coming
You
from.
don't even know. Just you just call the trustee and say, listen, I want to buy this apartment. It's $1.5 million. Transfer the money. I know one or two people like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So that to me is someone who's wealthy. You don't have to work. You don't have to worry about retirement. None of that stuff. You
Right.
work at your leisure. You work because you want to, not because you have to.
For
So that-
ha-has and kikis.
Exactly. So that to me is not wealth. I mean that to me is wealth,
okay.
right? But intrinsically, wealth to me means not that. Wealth to me means a sense of contentment with what you have in life, with where you are in life. In other words, like I always try to tell myself, like if I went today, like if I died today, would I be satisfied with the life that I've led up to this point?
That's a good question.
And if I can say yes, then to me, I'm wealthy.
Got it.
Because to me, living a great life where you're thriving is the most important thing. It really is.
That's a good definition. I like that.
Yeah.
So then how would you define success?
I would define success. First of all, I think each person defines their own success.
I would
think-
agree with that.
I think it's very important to not allow society to define success, right? But I define success for me as, again, contentment. Like, am I happy with what I'm doing?
Yes.
And can I always do a little bit more? And if I'm in the position to do more and I can do more, that's successful. Because there are a lot of people who are unable to do more.
They don't have the
because
option.
they don't have the option. They have physical limitations, they have financial limitations, and there are a variety of limitations on them. And so to me, that's that's successful.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm in the position to do those things.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm pretty pleased and happy. I mean, I have some crappy days. I'm not going to lie.
We all do.
I had a crappy morning today.
No, impossible.
I
You're here
did.
recording this podcast.
No, I was on the phone today with the damn health insurance people yelling at them. You know,
that's
life.
another situation.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like life things. You know, you can have some really crappy days. But
Absolutely.
I think overall, you know, I'm pretty pleased.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Good for you.
And I think that to me is successful.
Yeah.
You know, but it's important to not allow other people to define what is success. Because then now you're playing the game of keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
And it's impossible. It's
Yeah.
an impossible game. You can never win.
Right.
You can
right.
never win.
And I think culturally also, since we share
Yeah.
a culture,
Yeah.
I think we were taught that it doesn't make any sense to either want to be someone else, to want what someone else has,
Right.
because it's zero-sum game.
Right. Zero-sum game and a waste of time.
And a
because
waste of
you
time.
have
And a
your
waste of
own-
energy.
Yeah.
And a waste of the gifts that you have.
that you have.
That every individual has.
Exactly. Exactly. No one can do you like you can do you.
No one can do you like you can do you. Okay, so would you say true or false to these sentences?
Okay.
Pivoting isn't easy, even if you know it's right.
True.
Pivoting is a mindset.
True.
You will,
I mean, really true.
really true.
Really true.
And I have to say that I actually got these statements that I converted to questions from a cool website called The Art of Charm. But anyway, you will either pivot or get pivoted.
Very true. Very true. Which is similar to a mantra that I have, which is run your life or it will run you.
I like that.
But you better run it.
Put your Nikes on or whatever you wear.
Take control because someone will control it for you.
Get to running.
Yeah.
Great. You don't have to be a brand to be discoverable. So that gets into, actually gets into so much social media, commercialism, frankly, resources to be able to put yourself out there, the courage to be able to present yourself in such a way that you want 1 million eyes and sets of eyes and ears to see you.
Right. Say it again. Say the statement again.
You don't have to be a brand in order to be discoverable.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay. Pivoting is not for everyone.
Oh, that is 100% true. That is 100% true. I tell people that all the time. Do not, first of all, don't let the young, cute face fool you.
And as a plastic surgeon, I would have to concur.
Don't let the trappings, don't let the trappings fool you. Like, this is not for the faint-hearted. It's not for everyone. It is not for everyone.
It's work.
It's work. It's stress. Entrepreneurship, which is what we do, having your own business, it's not for everybody. And I tell people that too. I'm like, here are a few things. If you don't think you can deal with the fact that you have bills due in 4 days, and you don't know where the money's coming from,
Yes.
don't do this.
Okay.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Because it requires a level of patience and a mindset, which is one of the statements you said earlier,
Yeah.
and a hustle mentality that not everyone has. And that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Right.
You have to kind of know who you are. I figured out who I was the hard way.
Yeah.
I thought I was the master budgeter. I
Right.
thought I was
Right.
rich. I thought I was, then I learned the hard way. So figure out who you are and
Right.
learn quick. Learn real quick.
Or continue to figure out who you are and
Keep
be
figuring it out.
open to
yeah,
that.
keep figuring it out. Because sometimes I surprise myself and I'm like, oh, okay, girl.
Yeah.
you really did do that. Oh, shit.
Okay. So, to your point then, if you're indecisive, then put off the decision to pivot.
Yes. True.
Your fears and insecurities may be trying to tell you that the change is worth it. True or false? Because again, there's fear, right? There's fear in changing. There's even more fear in transformation, if we've even gotten to a point where we have defined transformation and not just a change per se. So it brings up a lot of fear and insecurity. So, but how, and I always struggle with this. So if I'm feeling fearful or insecure, oh my gosh, and I'm not breathing. So is that a sign that go for it, Shirley? Or is it a sign that, oh, you're indecisive, you should hold back? So what do you do at that point, at that fork in the road?
Good question.
Should you just do it the way Nike says? Or should you just leap, take a jump, knowing that there will always be a net beneath you? I mean,
I'm a big fan of doing it because I personally detest regret. So I would rather do it, mess it up, and then I can look back and say, well, at least I tried.
Okay, I love
because
that.
the idea of 2-3 years from now, living with the whole I wish I did, I wish is a horrible, shoulda, woulda, coulda is a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And there's some things that I wish I had done looking back as well. Like I remember when I was in law school, I had the opportunity to do a summer program in Paris.
Oh, wow.
And it was for credit.
Yes.
So it was going to school in
Right.
Paris for credit.
Yes.
8 weeks.
Yes.
And you would have gotten a certificate program from the school and everything. It would have been transferred to my law school. And instead, I was like, no, I need the money. I went and got some stupid, corny job at the United States Office for Personnel Management. I don't even remember the work that I did. Like, it was so insignificant.
Yeah.
As opposed to being able to be in Paris for 8 weeks.
Right.
Which is something that I can never get back,
Right.
right? As an adult with bills and responsibilities, I can never spend 8 weeks in Paris again, ever.
but you can go to Paris for 8 days and still feel as if you were there for 8 weeks because you are just so loving it.
Exactly. But that feeling of shoulda, woulda, coulda
Yes.
haunts me till this
Yes,
day. You know what I mean?
agree. I think regret sucks.
Right.
I do.
Whereas I could have gone and okay, I might have been a little late with some bills, but they were bullshit bills back then. I was like 24, 25 at the
Right.
time. So, I could have just
Right.
called my mom and, it wouldn't have been,
You could have called your trustee.
right? Right? I mean, it wouldn't have been disastrous. It
Right.
wasn't like I had a mortgage and children
Right.
and, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Got it.
You know what I
Understood.
mean? So
Yeah, I would agree with you.
That's
that
why I'm
regret.
a big believer in doing
Just
it.
do it.
And then, but obviously with reason. I'm not
With
saying
thought,
with thought,
research,
with thought, but give it a try.
Yeah.
Give it a try and believe in abundance. Believe in the ability to bounce back. Believe in the ability to autocorrect.
Yeah.
If you mess up, believe in the ability to correct.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I think that, at least for me sometimes, I think just talking about this podcast, I had been thinking about it for months and it took me so long. And even when I actually met this wonderful production team to work with me, I remember sending them emails like, no, I think we'll just wait. No, we won't launch it quite yet. What do you think? How about 3 months from now? No, it's just, right? You doubt yourself.
pushing
And
it
then
off.
finally I
Yeah.
just said, you know what?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, you just got to do it.
My mom listens at least.
Oh, that's sweet. I have to download it.
Please
it.
do.
Listen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I the last two questions, I like to do this. The first one is called the Fast Five. So pick one. TV or movies?
In terms of what? In terms of what I prefer? What
Yeah,
I
your
like?
preferences. TV or movies?
Netflix.
Hashtag Netflix. Can we get some sponsorship from Netflix?
Netflix. Can we just talk about that Fire Festival Netflix thing? Have you seen it?
I saw that.
Oh
Oh,
my
my gosh. That was a disaster.
Oh my God.
That was a disaster.
I was like, did he say what? I was like, wait, hold up. No,
And
I
I'm
have
sure
to
you,
rewind
yeah,
this.
and you as a lawyer, I'm sure you probably.
That's a whole new method of payment I was not aware of.
I did
Whoa.
never even heard about it.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
crazy. Okay.
Oh my God.
Hashtag disaster. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Okay.
God. I'm sorry to
no
to
worries.
digress.
Next. Yeah, no worries. It was a digression, but it was worth it.
But I do love movies. I
Yeah,
love movies. It's
I do
hard.
too.
That's a hard question.
I know it is.
I love movies. Like I've gone to Sundance. I've done the whole. I'm watching 15 movies in 6 days, and and I've gone to Tribeca Film Festival.
Wow.
Sundance. Yeah,
Yeah,
do
I love
film.
movies also.
I love the Q&A after with the
Yeah,
director and
yeah.
the actors, and I want to ask them questions and why was this character this way? And
Exactly.
So it's hard.
I know
It's
that's a
to
hard one,
say.
but I intentionally made them
Yeah,
really close
yeah.
so that you had to think,
Yeah.
if I only had one.
I watch every Oscar-nominated film.
Wow.
Yeah. In
Okay.
fact, yesterday I watched Roma.
What'd you think of that?
I loved it.
Did you?
I thought
I heard it was beautifully
it's
shot.
Beautifully shot. It's
The cinematography,
beautiful.
the colors,
Beautiful.
But that the
Beautiful.
storyline was little.
It was a little. It's slow.
Yeah. Okay.
It is really slow.
Okay.
It is really slow. But it touched me because, my mother was a care provider for a white family. So so her character was quite relatable to me.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. So
that's how my mother, put us through school.
Yeah.
So to me, it, just like when I saw The Help, remember
Yes,
that movie?
yes,
So
that was a great movie.
there's a dynamic there that I would love to see explored more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was really pretty.
Okay, good. Then I may watch it
Yeah,
upon your
it's on
recommendation. Okay, it's on Netflix. Again, Netflix executive, please come forward with sponsorship for this podcast. Thank you. Okay. So the next Fast Five: pantsuit or little black dress.
Where am I going?
Anywhere. You're going to Whole Foods. You're going to the supermarket. Whole Foods executives, please come forward with sponsorship. Yeah. Pantsuit or little black dress. You're going to a movie premiere.
Is it winter?
You are such a lawyer. I love it.
Because I'm not one thing, so
Yes,
it's
right.
so hard.
I know
you know what I
these are
mean?
hard,
Like
I know.
some days, I like a freakum dress. Some
Right.
days I like, the
High boots.
right. Some days I like a conservative. I'm gonna be making Markle today.
Right,
outfit. I'm all those things.
Yes,
you know what I
are.
mean.
Okay,
So
I'll let you have
it's
both.
Hard.
I'll let you have both.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Okay, third one. Speaker or listener? I know you can do both, but if you had to choose one for an hour.
Speaker.
Okay, I thought so.
I love to talk.
Innovation or tradition?
That's a tough
I
one.
know, I intentionally make them tough. I actually have a hard time answering some of these for myself. That's
tough
when I
one.
know it's a good question.
That's a tough one. 'Cause
Yeah.
I love tradition.
Okay.
Like I get upset if something we do with my family, because
Yes.
we're really tight. My
Yes.
family thick as thieves.
Wonderful.
We do certain things every year, the same Christmas,
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
Right.
It's always at this person's
Easter,
house.
that
Everybody
person's-
else.
yes.
And when they mess it up, I'd be like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like one year they
It's
moved
disruptive.
it. Yeah, one year they moved it. We tried to do it at my other cousin's house. We were like, ugh,
No,
it's not. No,
it didn't work.
Yeah. So tradition.
I'm going to say tradition on that for you.
I guess so, but I like innovation too.
Okay.
I do.
But then your foundation is tradition.
I think, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, my foundation is tradition. That's for sure.
Okay, last one. This may or may not be tough.
Okay.
Privilege or power? Oh, that's good. That's good.
Privilege
I'm thinking about it myself. I'm not really sure. You can say neither.
or power. Aren't they one and the same?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because I think you can have means and resources and even access, but you may or may not have the soft skills, personality, compassion, passion, empathy, love to be able to
Because I would
earn the power necessarily. Or I guess you can rule.
because I'd say with privilege comes power, right? Because if you are privileged, then you have power to do things that those who are not privileged can do, right?
Yes, yeah.
Is what I'm thinking,
Okay.
right?
So if we assume that privilege means everything and you want in the world, and power means maybe none of that or a fraction of that, but access, greater respect.
Yeah, because power to me, I guess maybe we're thinking about power in different ways. Power to me is complete agency over you, your body, your decisions,
And maybe others.
and others. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, and others.
Whereas you could be totally 100+% privileged and not have that agency. Yes? Maybe? Or you could say both.
I I guess.
I know the lawyer is thinking about it, about all the possibilities. I think
You know, that's the problem.
it is called the Fast Five, Midwin.
Yeah. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a
Okay.
good one.
So now the very last question, I asked this of all my guests and of myself also, is to come up with, we call the Fab Five. So this podcast is called Forever Fab, after fashion, the art of living well and beauty.
Yes.
So what are your top five, because I know you have many, your top 5 recommendations for living a beautiful life? Your top 5.
Okay,
Nope.
so
Number 1.
Number 1, travel.
Yes.
You have to travel. I don't care if you're going to Queens. you have
Get out.
off the 4 corners of
Yes,
the block.
I
You
like
have
that.
to travel. The more you travel, the more you have a greater appreciation for life, for living, other people, and for the life that you're living. So I'd say 1 is travel.
Okay.
2 is the arts. I love the arts, whether it is music, art, theater, dance. I love doing those things.
Okay.
Experiencing new culinary things, restaurants,
Yes.
wine.
I'm such a foodie.
To me, those are really the sort of enjoying, what life has to offer.
Yes.
And there's so much beauty.
Yes.
And a lot of it is not expensive. Art galleries are typically free. Museums are not that expensive.
Some are free.
Some are free. Shakespeare in the Park here in New York. Theater. There are all these ways that you can experience art.
Yes.
Fine art, whatever kind of art you like, in many inexpensive ways. So I would say that's 2.
I like that.
So
And
travel, art.
And art sometimes, I think, imitates life. So
Yeah.
if you're looking to live or you want to live a more
Right.
beautiful life,
Exactly.
check out the arts.
Exactly. 3, books. I love
agree.
books. I love books.
Are you the type that gets 3 or 4 books and they're all on your nightstand?
Yeah,
And you're
reading,
reading, half of one, then a
Right.
third of the other, all at the same time?
Right.
Yeah,
I've been in 3 book clubs in my life.
Oh, wow.
2 at the same time.
Yes.
The other 2 disbanded because they all got married and had kids. Except for me.
That's another podcast.
But I digress. Yeah, except for me, but I digress.
The Choice.
Right.
Another
right.
podcast.
And but I'm in one now, and I can't remember the book we're reading now, but I'm also reading Michelle Obama's book right now.
Yeah. I
And,
bought it.
Yeah.
Hashtag Michelle Obama. Hashtag becoming.
And
All the people
but
responsible for Ms. Obama, please sponsor this podcast.
But I'd say books, because I think books can take you to places that you've never been. And again, they are inexpensive.
Yeah.
And I think that books can catapult you into, honestly, I really believe books can catapult you into any world. It really can, If you were trying to go here, if you were trying to be X, reading really is fundamental.
Yeah.
You really ought to be reading about the things that interest you. I know people who have succeeded in getting into spaces because they were so well read. And so they were immediately accepted in to, various industries, just opportunities, work opportunities, speaking, like just all kinds of opportunities opened because people respected them because they were so well read.
Yeah.
They understood history. They understood, people, like just amazing. I love books. I really
love
do.
to read also.
I really do.
Okay.
So that's 3.
That's 3. 2
Okay.
more.
Okay, so travel, art, books.
Yes.
The 4th one, which probably should be first, is looking good. You gotta look.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
I
as a
like to
plastic
look
surgeon.
good. Like when I look good, I feel really good. Like when I feel, because there's some days like you catch me on the wrong day, like going to Whole Foods usually, and I just look so like. What's the word that I use again? I just look so frumpy.
You cannot.
And then
look frumpy.
someone fabulous will walk in. I'm like, what are you like, first of all, why do you own this? Like, why? So lately I've been going through my closet and getting rid of things that don't make me feel good. So it's not necessarily about it's sexy or it's hot, but I have to feel
good. Or
it's
trendy or it's now.
Yeah, like for a long time I used, like sometimes I would, this is New York City living, so a lot of times you have to commute in flats.
And then change into
and
the
then
stilettos
change into the
or
heels, right.
Yes.
But lately, I like to, like when I like to feel good about myself, like, and dress a certain way, I like to feel a little clack clack.
Yeah.
When you're walking down, you know what I mean? You need a little clack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I got it.
And I was like, but you can't get a clack clack with a flat.
With flats.
In fact, I have tripped over myself in flats because I'm so flat on the, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
So lately, I have been getting these like little low heel boots.
Right.
So
kitten heels or
kitten
the boots,
heel,
or
just a low heel
Yeah.
or a wedge. So you still get a little clack
Height
clack.
and clack clack.
Because ladies, you feel me. You know what I'm talking about. Like you walk a little.
There's something.
There's a little more confidence.
Yeah, more zhuzh.
Yeah, so I say looking good, style, whatever your own personal style is.
Yes.
I just feel that if you put a little effort in the morning and you look good, you feel good, and that sort of gives you a real positive attitude about your day, because people will try you throughout the day. I mean, you get on the trains here in New York City and they try you, delay, like they will try you.
Right.
So if you're feeling good about yourself, so 4 I would say look good.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it cannot be overemphasized that beauty does come from within.
It totally does.
And
I know it sounds cliche and corny,
but it really is true.
It really does.
But I also think it works in the other direction. So if for you fashion is your armor, then you put that on if you're not feeling great, and then there's something about maybe what you choose that can be transformative, or just is that little something that you need to be able to go out and say, okay, fierce, check.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because I think we live in a society, particularly as women, where we are constantly being judged. We are constantly being judged. You're not cute enough, you're not tall enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not light enough, you're not this, your hair's too short, your hair's too nappy. There's constantly, your nails are not done, your clothes don't fit, your clothes are cheap, your clothes are too expensive. Like you can never win, and you are constantly being judged, and we know this, right? I mean, it's hard. I think it's really hard, and these images are being plastered all over, and you're just like, oh my god. Like Fashion Week in New York, right? I saw you at a fashion show the other day, right?
Yeah, right.
You walk around New York City during Fashion Week. First of all, you feel really short, and I'm not a short woman.
Right? No,
you
you're
know
not.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, you're taller than I am.
Right?
So imagine, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, officially or on paper, I go by 5'8", but I'm not.
I go by 5'5".
I'm not 5'8", but that's what I like to go by.
Yeah.
But during Fashion Week, I'm like, I feel really short.
Yeah.
I feel really, schluppy. Like, I'm like, I need the clack clack.
You need the clack clack.
I need the clack clack. I'd say feel good.
Yeah.
5.
Yes, number 5.
Okay, what was the beginning question again? 5 things that
living your most beautiful life. Either advice that you would give to others or ones that you follow.
Yeah, I would say I'm going to do this as a catch-all. 5 is self-care.
I love that.
Self-care, which includes family time.
Yes.
Family time. I'm one of those people where I come from a really tight-knit family.
Yes.
It's you probably do too as Haitian.
Yes.
We're really tight. I don't know if it's because we're an immigrant family, and most immigrant families, when they come here, they have to stick together for purposes of sort of obtaining
survival,
support system, and obtaining goals and things.
Right.
But I would say self-care. It's really important to, I think when you live in New York, you can live this really fast life, right? There's all these events and you feel like you have to be here, you have to be there, and then you've got to take care of, your groceries, dry cleaning, all these kinds of things.
All
and then
those
there's
things.
your actual work, right? Your professional work.
And how do you balance all that?
And you have to balance all of that. And I've only recently been sort of really just like, okay, no, today I'm staying home all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, girl, what you doing? Girl, come on out. No.
Nope. No.
No.
Yeah. Sometimes no is self-care.
Yeah. I'm Netflixing and chilling.
Yeah. Netflix, of course. Again, you know about Netflix.
I'm Netflixing and chilling.
That is beautiful.
I think self-care is really important. And that means, again, an hour or two at the spa, or even if you can't afford the spa, because I'm all about, finding ways to get little luxuries in life without breaking the bank.
Right.
And like my new thing now is I go to the gym at the Y.
Yes.
Also not expensive.
Right.
YMCA.
Yes.
And they have a sauna and a
Nice,
steam room.
nice.
So I always make sure that after the workout, I'll go spend 10, 15 minutes in the sauna.
Agreed.
And just pretend I'm at the peninsula.
Yeah.
And
Hashtag
I will
Peninsula.
literally- I will even bring the damn cucumber slices
I
in the
know,
Ziploc
right? Oh,
bag
that
and put
is
the
great.
cucumbers in my eyes and be like,
That
I
is
am
hilarious.
At the Mandarin Oriental.
That's right. Okay. Well,
Garçon,
I know.
bring me my
Ring the bell. Ding, 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 ding.
bring me my glass of prosecco.
Well, I love it. Thank you for those 5 tips. And also thank you for the many opportunities for sponsorship of all the people who were mentioned on this podcast
Peninsula
today.
Hotel.
Peninsula, Mandarin, Netflix, Whole Foods. The list goes on. Keep them coming, folks. Midwin, thank you so very, very much
You're
for your
welcome.
time,
Of
for
course.
sharing
Of
your
course.
thoughts, your wisdom
Of
with us and your stories.
Anytime,
It was a
anytime.
pleasure
This was
and an
fun.
honor.
This was fun. I
Well,
love
hopefully you will come back for part 2.
it. Yeah, no, absolutely. This was easy to get to.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for listening to Forever Fab, the podcast dedicated to fashion, the art of living well, and beauty. This is Dr. Shirley Madera signing out with Midwin Charles. And until next time, stay beautiful inside and out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madera, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.